Are you a strong woman or Mrs. Nice Little Girl? This video might hurt your feelings, but it can help you tremendously in the future. The truth is, a lot of women fall into the nice girl category even without realizing it. Perhaps you or someone you know is always playing the nice little girl. If you are the nice girl, it's not your fault. Whether it was because you grew up in an abusive and manipulative environment, the societal images being dominated by self-sacrificing women, the experiences of bullying and rejection, or maybe a combination of all the above. Whatever turned you into the nice girl does not matter. It's your responsibility to look forward and get rid of the nice girl act. Before you start wondering how to stop being a nice girl, I want you to know that there's a huge difference between a good woman and a nice girl. The common thought all nice girls have is that they expect from the world to get everything they do in return. This is a fantasy land. The truth is that the nicer you are at the expense of your own needs, the more people will take advantage of it. But what if I told you that there is a very dark side to the nice girl? What if I told you that the typical nice girl isn't a nice girl at all? Underneath that sweet exterior, there's often a ton of resentment and frustration. Some nice girls are often playing this role because they secretly want something back in return. The nice girl is a very passive, aggressive individual who tries to get what she wants through manipulation by being nice. So, how can you use this awareness to your advantage? The first step here is something that most women don't even consider, but it's crucial when it comes to letting go of the nice girl act. You gotta understand something that I always say in my channel. People are more likely to attack you if they see you as weak. Simple as that. Since they don't know that you are weak, they will depend on the signals you give off through your behavior, past and present. If you give them weak signals, they will surely attack you because they are after easy victories. Now, understanding this basic human behavior is crucial, and here's why. You have to learn to fight back. If these people sense that you're going to fight back, they would rather leave you alone. And trust me, I know this from personal experience. You see, I wasn't always the person who stood up for themselves. In fact, I was the complete opposite. Growing up, I was the quietest person in my family. I avoided conflict at all costs, and I always tried to keep the peace. Even an older sibling would get frustrated with me for not standing up for her during arguments with my mother. This sibling was the exact opposite of me, manipulative, controlling. She had such a strong personality, and I just followed. When I was a teenager, she convinced me to break up with someone I was in a relationship with just because she didn't approve of him, and I did it without a single question. Why? Because I didn't know how to say no. It felt like I didn't even have the right to make my own choices, even if they were wrong. And that's just one example I can think of from my teenage years. But this pattern didn't stop in adulthood. It followed me, because I continued to let this sibling play the same manipulative role in my life. At first, I felt pressured when she would ask me for money for gifts or things I hadn't budgeted for. She'd ask for things like it was no big deal, but I started to realize it was her way of pushing me to work. It wasn't about the money itself. It was about creating that pressure. When I finally found the courage to say, "Stop asking me for money. I don't have any," that's when the real pressure began. She directly started pushing me to get a job, and that's when we had an argument. That argument was the moment that fully hit me. This wasn't just casual pressure. I had been manipulated all along. It's easy to get trapped in this cycle where you let others push you around. I did it for years. I was the nice girl because I thought it would bring me peace, but the opposite happened. It brought chaos into my life. So don't be afraid to fight back when someone tries to control you. You deserve to make your own choices, and the only way to do that is by being unapologetic about what you want. Now, do not misunderstand this. I'm not saying you should stop being kind or good-hearted. I'm not advocating for rudeness or doing whatever nonsense crosses your mind without considering others. What I'm saying is that you should be a good woman, but not a nice girl. Our world can be cruel, and sometimes you have to be a bad bitch to protect yourself. Because if you don't, you're letting others take the steering wheel of your own car while you sit in the back seat, hoping they'll take you where you want to go. Spoiler alert, they won't. They'll drive you off a cliff if it suits them. But here's the kicker. Many people are completely unaware that they're even being manipulated. You might think you're just being nice, but what if I told you that this niceness is actually a mask for something deeper? What if I told you that you could be giving away your power without even realizing it? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that every decision you've made has been influenced by someone else's agenda. It's a terrifying thought, right? But it's also a wake-up call. The truth is, a lot of us have been conditioned to think that being agreeable is the way to keep peace. So what can you do to break this cycle? The first step is to recognize the signs of manipulation. Look for those little moments where you feel pressured or uncomfortable. Those are your clues. But this is only the beginning. I'm going to share a powerful strategy that can help you reclaim your strength. It's not just about standing up for yourself. It's about enforcing your boundaries without giving away your power or arguing. Stick around because this is a game changer. I like to call this method the calm assertiveness strategy. Here's how it works. Let's say your coworker tries to dump extra work on you. Instead of taking on the work even though you're on the verge of burning out, I want you to take 2 deep breaths before you calmly say no. Staying calm is absolutely crucial when you're communicating your needs. I can't stress this enough. If you lose your temper, you lose the game. The next step is one of the most disregarded, but it's essential if you want to avoid potential conflict. Use I statements instead of you statements. Starting your sentences with I keeps the focus on your needs without making the other person feel attacked or defensive. For example, instead of saying, "You always interrupt me," say, "I feel disrespected when I'm interrupted." You also need to be direct and specific. Clearly state your boundary. Say something like, "I can't take on extra work right now. My plate is full," instead of just saying, "I'm busy." It's much more effective. And remember, you don't need to apologize for setting your boundaries. Justifying your decisions can make you feel like you're slipping back into the victim role. Be assertive. Your boundaries are valid even without an explanation. Now be prepared for a negative reaction. You might hear frustration or even anger. When that happens, calmly say something like, "I understand your frustration, but I'm busy right now." Staying calm during this process is crucial. If you fall into their emotional trap and lose your temper, you've lost the game. Hold your ground and keep your composure, because I warn you, setting boundaries is not going to be easy if you've been the nice girl your entire life. The problem is, if you've been the nice girl for most of your life, that's how people see you. The moment you stop, they'll guilt trip you. They'll say things like, "You've changed," or "You're different." But the people saying these things are the ones who are benefiting from you not having any boundaries in the first place. My sibling still doesn't like when I stand up for myself because for most of my life, I never did it. It's hard for them to accept that I'm not the nice little girl anymore. And it's caused many arguments. When someone says, "You've changed," the best way to respond is, "I understand that this feels different for you, but this is who I am now, and I'm happy with these changes." Remember, there is no magic answer or recipe to get others to respect you. Some people will never respect you no matter what you do, so don't feel bad for losing them. They were never on your side to begin with. If you don't want to be defeated in the war called life, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. See you, goddesses, in our next video.